On August 6, 1945, a single plane on a single mission changed the course of human history forever. So today we're going to break down the minute-by-minute account of that mission, the one that dropped the first atomic bomb and, in a flash, brought the Second World War to its knees.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at how the flight began, what led to the bomb's creation, the impossible choice to use it, and then that final countdown and the world that was left in its wake. Let's get right into it with a mission already underway.
So, picture this. It's the pre-dawn darkness of Tinian Island, August 6, 1945. A lone B-29 superfortress, the Enola Gay, is getting ready for a flight that is about to redefine the very meaning of war.
And this really frames the whole journey, right? It's 2:45 in the morning. You've got 11 crew members on board. The engines are roaring to life. They have a 4.5-hour flight ahead of them, heading north over the Pacific. And their target, hundreds of miles away, has absolutely no idea what is coming. Now, this isn't just some ordinary bombing run. No way. The plane is carrying a weapon completely unlike anything ever imagined, let alone built by human beings. It's a uranium bomb, and its code name is Little Boy. And this one piece of cargo, it weighs a staggering 9,700 pounds. Just think about that. Inside this shell is a force that's never been unleashed on this planet, the raw power of the atom itself. A weapon that powerful just begs the question, how did we even get here? I mean, how did the world reach a point where creating and using something like this was even on the table? Well, this flight didn't really begin on a runway. It started years before, when the entire world was plunged into a war that demanded it. For the United States, the path starts right here, December 7th, 1941. With no warning, no declaration of war, Japan launched a devastating surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. And just like that, a stunned America was pulled into a global war. And the war in the Pacific was just brutal. It was a meat grinder, this island-hopping campaign where casualties on both sides were just immense. You had Japanese forces dug in, ready to fight to the very last man, because surrender just wasn't part of their military code. The loss of life was unbelievable. So at the same time, whispers were starting to get around that Hitler's Germany was looking into nuclear fission. Terrified of what would happen if the Nazis got an atomic bomb first, the U.S. launched its own top-secret, incredibly ambitious program, the Manhattan Project. It was a gathering of some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, all working in total secrecy, basically trying to break the laws of physics. It was this desperate race against a ghost to be the first to unlock the atom.
Okay, so let's jump ahead to the moment of decision. Germany is defeated. The war in Europe is over. But the fight with Japan is still raging. And out in the New Mexico desert, a secret test has just proven that the bomb actually works.
I mean, can you imagine witnessing that first atomic blast? A flash brighter than the sun, a steel tower just vaporized. Even its creator, J. Robert Oppenheimer, was completely floored. He remembered this line from Hindu scripture because he knew in that instant they had harnessed a truly terrifying power.
So this put President Truman in an absolutely impossible spot. And this slide lays out the dilemma perfectly. On one hand, a land invasion of Japan. Projections said it could cost millions of lives, Allied and Japanese, and drag the war on for maybe another year. On the other hand, the atomic bomb. It had the potential to end the war, like tomorrow, but it would cause destruction on a scale nobody had ever seen. It was a terrible, terrible calculation in human lives.
Okay, so the decision's been made, the order has been given, let's get back in the cockpit of the Enola Gay. The plane is now crossing over the Japanese coastline, closing in on its primary target, the city of Hiroshima. So check this out. This is how the final moments went down. 90 minutes out, the bomb gets armed. A little while later, Japanese radar actually picks up the planes, but they figure it's just a small recon flight, nothing to worry about. And then, T-minus 44 minutes, an all-clear siren sounds in Hiroshima. The city breathes a sigh of relief, completely unaware of the real danger just minutes away.
Flying steady at 31,000 feet, the Enola Gay lines up its final approach. The bombardier gets the target, a very distinct T-shaped bridge, right in his crosshairs. And then, the bomby doors yawn open, exposing Little Boy to the rushing air. You hear a click as the clamps release, and for 43 seconds, that almost 10,000-pound bomb is in a free fall. 43 seconds of complete silence as it plummets toward the unsuspecting city center below. At exactly 8:15 in the morning,
At an altitude of about 600 meters, the firing mechanism triggers. In less than a microsecond, a chain reaction unleashes the power of the sun on Hiroshima. In that instant, the world changed forever.
The devastation. It was immediate and it was absolute. The blast had a yield of 15 kilotons. That's the same as 15,000 tons of TNT. In a blink, over half the city was gone. And by the end of 1945, it's estimated that 140,000 people were dead as a result.
You know, in the charred ruins of the city, this one haunting detail emerged. Pocket watches, wall clocks, they were found all over, with their hands frozen solid at 8:15 a.m. It's this permanent, physical record of the exact moment that time just stopped for Hiroshima. Hours later, President Truman went on the radio and told the world what had happened. He confirmed the use of this new, revolutionary weapon, and he warned Japan, saying if they didn't surrender, they could expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth.
But Japan didn't surrender. So 3 days later, a second atomic bomb was dropped, this time on the city of Nagasaki. 6 days after that, on August 15th, the Emperor of Japan spoke to his people over the radio for the very first time ever, announcing the nation's unconditional surrender. And just like that, World War II was over.
And this slide just perfectly captures the really complex legacy that was left behind. On one hand, you have these symbols of just total destruction, the skeleton of the A-bomb dome, the deadly radioactive black rain. But on the other hand, you get these incredible symbols of resilience, like the oleander, which was the very first flower to bloom again in the ruins. You know, early reports said Hiroshima might be uninhabitable for 75 years, but people started coming back within months, literally rebuilding their lives right in the middle of the ruins. Today, Hiroshima is a bustling, modern city, but it also stands as this permanent monument to the past and a powerful warning for the future. And that leaves us with this final thought to really chew on.